pause for a second or two. This is episode 201. No hand on Bible. Three days ago was the American inauguration of their president. And the custom, the tradition in how they usually do it is that the president-elect places his left hand on a Bible or a stack of Bibles, either held by his wife or laying on top of a table. And with his right hand raised as he is repeating the words of the oath. That is the custom. But this time, 3 days ago, it is unclear as to why. It is unclear if the president-elect forgot to place his left hand or if he chose not to. But what is clear is that the president-elect did not place his left hand on top of the two Bibles his wife were holding and standing next to him holding. There was no hand on Bible. As this happened, we could see in the images that his wife and his daughter, also standing next to him, looked shocked and they looked quite frightened when they realized that his hand is not on the Bible right now. This is a custom that goes back a long time. For many Americans, this is a very important moment. Many Americans are religious in such a way that this tradition of placing one's left hand on top of the Bible is not only important but crucial. And we, the viewers, could really see in the facial expressions of his wife and his daughter that this is something. And also, if we try to do the same at home, if we men, if we have our wife or spouse or girlfriend, if we have her hold a book or a Bible or something important. And we try to do the same, to place our left hand on top of that book or that Bible and raise our right hand and swear something. If we try this and do it once with the hand on the book, the Bible, and once with the hand just hanging to our side and not on the Bible, we will see that it feels completely different. It feels completely different in our body. When we have the hand on the Bible, we can feel a physical connection to our woman. We can feel through the book. We can feel if our spouse is sort of pushing a little against the book from beneath, we feel it up through the book. So it feels physically like we are there doing it together, taking the oath together. Whereas if we do not place our hand on the book, but just have it hanging to our side, we feel alone, physically alone. The day after the inauguration, the very next day, the president and his family attended church. And the priest, the bishop, preaching during this sermon was also a woman. And in her sermon, she chose to include a plea to the president. And the same day or the day after, the president chose to write online an attack against this female bishop. And this is our second event we are focusing on in today's episode. So in our first event, the president did not place his hand on top of the Bible, disconnecting himself physically from his wife, holding the Bibles. And in the second event, the female bishop, the president chose to publicly attack the female bishop after she had pleaded to him publicly. Today's episode is called No Hand on Bible, and it would seem that we are talking about two things today. We're talking about, in part, the president's relationship to the Bible and the church, but also the president's relationship with women in these instances. In the first instance, his wife, and in the second, the female bishop. The Polaroid for today's episode is a specific skill guard. Specific skill guard is under our sleep situation, and it has to do with our sense of safety in life. When we feel safe, we fall asleep. And a specific skill guard is about that when we do not feel safe, when we feel threatened, automatically our guard goes up. And when our guard goes up, we get tense and adrenaline starts flowing in our body. And we cannot relax, we cannot sleep. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to do anything about it. If we are tense, if our guard is up, it is up. And it does not readily go down. It is quite tricky. And the point of today's episode is to take a step back and look at the consequences of these two events surrounding the president and the women close to him in these two events. So, in these two situations, both the president's and the women's guards were raised. The situation right now in our world, the current state of affairs, proves to be so tense that first the president either forgets to place his hand on the Bible or chooses not to because it feels too much, it feels too much to handle. And in the second instance, that the female bishop's guard is up to such a degree that she chooses to plead to the president. And the president's guard is raised so much that he chooses to not let it slide, but to attack the bishop publicly. And what we're looking at is an unfortunate negative spiral between man and woman. We're looking at a situation where the distance between man and woman is increasing how they feel about each other at heart. We're seeing this distance growing into coldness. It's getting cold. It's getting cold between man and woman. It would seem that it's in the time right now for this to happen, or otherwise it would not have happened. So what we're talking about today in today's episode is that the point of specific skill guard, or one of the points, is that once our guard has gone up and we are apprehensive and on alert, it doesn't readily go down. It takes sometimes a very long time for it to go down. So today's episode is quite pessimistic or depressed, in a way that now, as we have seen these two illustrating events of the guard both with the man and the woman going up towards one another, it sort of sets a tone for our time now forward. It sets a tone of tension, of coldness, of businesslike, sort of businesslike relationship. Also that this businesslike, cold relationship between man and woman is both in state affairs, in church affairs. So it's also blending state and church. So there seems to be some sort of movement going on right now, some motion going on, both between state and church and between man and woman when it comes to this. And I'm not really sure how much of these events were premeditated or how much of it was just unconscious or subconscious. But nevertheless, they happened, and we're now living in the consequences of them. And that's what's relevant. Since I'm a man and I am foremost speaking to other men in doing this podcast, I feel it is important to close with an important distinction. One thing that stands out in these events now unfolding is that the female bishop in her role as a woman, she chose to plead. And pleading it's a very specific sort of communication, to plead. It can be viewed as our last resort, our last options when nothing else seems to work. Then at last we plead. And the president chose to attack a woman pleading. And this is not nothing, this is something. It's one thing to disregard a woman's plea. Sometimes, unfortunately, life might be so strained that a man must choose to disregard a woman's plea due to him carrying a burden that is heavy in a specifically male kind of way. And then the man must disregard the woman's plea. But that was not what the president did. He did not simply disregard the plea. He chose to attack the woman pleader. And that is something else. When we are attacked as we are pleading, then we're pushed one step further back. And the only step further back than pleading is complete silence. And that's why this event is so important. That women are communicated from the top leader, perhaps in the world, that pleading will be attacked, and that now women should just stay silent. And we have not been through such times as these before, so it would be presumptuous of us to say that we know how this is supposed to be in sort of an, I don't know, eternal kind of way. But we can say for certain that we are where we are right now. And we are right now at a place where women will tense up and be silent in a new kind of way. And that's how it will be, to more or less degree right now. And life will feel very different when women feel like they can speak their mind, or when women feel like they have to be quiet or attacked to be quiet. Attacked in order to be quiet. Those are two very different sort of social climates. And it would seem that it is that way right now, and we will see where that leads. So I'm not really sure if it's how it's supposed to be, or if it is, regrettable. But it sure is different from what we are used to. And maybe that's enough to start with. Just pausing and recognizing that it feels different between man and woman after this. That's it for today. Thank you.